Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And you know, the ANC government have screwed up so much of South Africa since they took power in 1994. And this new bill to expropriate land without compensation is going to come and bite them so badly in the bum. Really, the minority groups need to secede. They just need to get out of the situation where you've got these mongrels running the show. But, you know, that'll happen at the right time. I have no doubt about that. And this channel will absolutely support that move when it happens. And we will be a flag bearer for the secessionists who actually set up a separate state in South Africa. Just be aware of that. All right, now, what are we talking about in this video? Well, we're talking about what the banks think about the loans that they have on property which is expropriated without compensation. Now, just like typical banks, they are just, look, they are the devil incarnate, the banking system. They are so greedy. They make Scrooge look like an angel. Now, let me tell you what the Banking Association of South Africa, or BASA, is saying about those people who are impacted by having their property expropriated if they have a loan with a bank. The Banking Association of South Africa, or BASA, has warned that land expropriation without compensation could have a significant impact on property rights in South Africa. BASA, which represents all registered banks in the country, said that the legislation could have a marked decrease in the value of property caused by either an amendment to the legislation and market uncertainty. And what comes with market uncertainty is the fact that no one in their right mind is going to invest in South Africa. So there goes your unemployment figure right through the roof. BASA warned that the resultant reduced appetite from property buyers could destabilize the banking sector and may have a negative impact on the credit rating of the sector and the country. And this is why Moody's, within the next month, are going to move the rand to junk, where it deserves to be, because the ANC government is junk. So the cap fits. The current exposure banks have in relation to land-based property is approximately 1.613 trillion rand. Yeah, you heard me right, 1.613 trillion rand in the form of mortgages. Now, let's remember the whole basis of fiat money. This is just a simple little lesson you need to get your head around. The whole basis of fiat money is that it's created out of thin air. In other words, there's no physical gold backing it, there's no physical silver backing it. Fiat money is based on the ability of the lender to pay back the payments. And the money is created based on, and this is the Achilles heel of this whole thing, the money is lent by the bank based on the valuation done on the property. So if you've got a property that the bank agrees is worth, let's say, 500,000 rand, they might loan you, let's say, 50% of that, 250,000 rand. They just create that money out of fresh air, because if you default on your loan, they will claim that property and resell it and get their money back. Now, what's happening with the expropriation of land without compensation is that option has been taken away from them. Because if you've got that same 250,000 rand loan and the ANC government cadre says, gee, I'd like that property, and the ANC hand it over to their mate, take it away from you like that, guess what? The bank has lost its collateral that actually backs that loan. So fiat money, just to reiterate, fiat money is a fraud. The only reason fiat money, like the rand, like the pound, like the US dollar, like the Australian dollar, the only reason they have value is because people believe in it. There is nothing backing fiat money. And I've just given you the example with property. So you can imagine the impact it's going to have when the ANC government start taking land away left, right, and center from people, okay? Because that's taking away the equity that the bank depended on when they magically created that money out of fresh air. It's that simple. That is how fiat money works. Now, let's get back to the situation here now that you've got your head around what fiat money is. Despite these issues, BASA has indicated that it is not clear exactly what impact land expropriation will have on the property loans, with initial legal opinions indicating that the borrower would still be fully liable for any debt incurred, irrespective of any expropriation of the underlying asset. Now, if I was someone who had a property and the ANC just took it off me, I would walk away from the bank. You know, I don't have that property anymore. They have the document which says that, hey, our equity, or the reason we loaned you the money is because you gave us that land as security. Now, once that security is taken away, in my view, it's the bank's problem, because they're sitting with a bad debt. Anyway, let's see what the banks say. And don't be fooled by the banks. They will try and steal from you left, right, and center. These are not nice guys, okay? Look what they're doing to the farmers in the Free State. They're worse than predators, okay? They're just awful. Anyway, getting back to the situation here. This is what BASA, or the Banking Association of South Africa, says. In its official submission on the bill, BASA said that expropriation without compensation in its current form does not seem to take into consideration the security rights or the real rights mortgagees have over immovable property. It said, at this stage, it is not understood if any of these rights will be affected, and if property law legislation in South Africa would need to be amended to cater for the changes. This will need to be fully investigated. Now, what the banks have actually done, or Nedbank at least has actually done now, is they've added a new clause where they say quite clearly, if your land is expropriated without compensation, this is actually in the loan document, you are still liable for this loan. Who's going to invest in property in South Africa based on amendments like that to the loan agreement? You see, those amendments weren't in the earlier mortgages, and that's where there's a huge question mark over who is liable for that loan if your property is taken away from you. Anyway, BASA's position on this whole situation is as follows. Security aside, we understand that in the event a property which the bank has taken security over is to be expropriated, such an event will be considered as a default under the loan. Okay? You're talking about a default under the loan. So you got a double whammy if you're a property owner in South Africa and you have a mortgage. One, you lose your property because the ANC government like it. Two, the bank says you are now defaulting on your loan because the government has taken away your property. Totally ridiculous. Anyway, continuing on. BASA said that this will have the following consequences for someone in that position. The repayment of the loan at the election of the bank could be accelerated, and this would place a borrower in a situation where she would need to repay the loan far quicker than what was anticipated. The immovable property could, at the election of the bank, be foreclosed upon as set out above, and/or cause default in other loans, not only residential or commercial property finance loans, which has the potential impact of financially crippling the borrower as these loans could be accelerated at the election of the bank and security executed against the same. With the issues still up in the air, the Institute of Race Relations has called on South Africa's major finance firms to clarify their position on the planned land expropriation without compensation law. The civil society group has asked South Africa's major banks and investment companies how they are advising clients about the proposed law and the steps they are taking to mitigate risk. Expropriation without compensation will have enormous consequences for South Africa, economically and financially, with asset values being affected across the board, the Institute of Race Relations said. Now, many farmers I speak to have said, if they come for my farm, they've crossed a line in the sand. They're going to have to take it over my dead body. They're just not going to give it away. This is such an incredibly, it's an incredibly dangerous thing that the ANC are doing. It could be the point where the white community just say, enough's enough. They've actually been pushed right to the edge right now. And the banks are not helping. Anyway, continuing. The Institute of Race Relations added that ordinary South Africans will be vulnerable to the most severe financial shocks and losses, and concern over the security of their investments is mounting. Herman Pretorius, the Institute of Race Relations campaign manager, said, "The destruction of property rights in South Africa through expropriation of land without compensation will have severe consequences. Corporate South Africa cannot remain on the fence. Institutions that have built their reputation on being on the side of ordinary South Africans must now live up to that. Banks, insurers, and investment firms and similar institutions cannot sit on the sidelines while their clients are left to fend for themselves against a state bent on increasing its power at the expense of what people have earned through hard work." The Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development recently confirmed that it has had no discussions with the country's banks about being compensated for any loans against a property that is expropriated. Basically, the banks have washed their hands. That's what they do. They hide behind laws which are not representative of the situation. Speaking to Business Tech in January, Department spokesperson Reggie Nkobo confirmed that this is because the minister is waiting for the bill to be finalized. Parliament, meanwhile, has extended the comment period for South Africa's proposed land expropriation bill until the 29th of February 2020. All right, guys, if you got property and you got investments that you can liquidate or the investments the banks can get their hands on, and you're concerned about your property being expropriated without compensation, and you've got a loan, simple solution. You've got to liquidate other assets, get them into something like physical gold and physical silver that is not tied up with the banking system, so that if your property is stolen from you by the ANC government, those thieves, the banks, can't go after your other investments, because that's what they're going to do. Please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video. Please share this video. And above all, please stay safe.